Yep. I'm gonna be limping for a minute. I just fell. Yep, that just happened. Caught it on. Ow.
Hey folks, good morning. Rick here from LaLa Farm. So on this beautiful Sunday morning in mid-December, we thought we would give you a tour of the entire farm, something we've never done before. What we have done is given you lots of shots from various areas of the farm, around the house, around chicken coops, back in the barn. But we've never given you a tour of the whole property, kind of see how it's laid out. So that's what we're going to do today, is kind of do a walk around too. So before we get started, always remember, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you like the video, please consider doing so. Ring that notification bell for future content. Let's get walking. So we bought this property about 4 years ago. We bought it in two separate parcels, two 10-acre parcels that are side by side for a total of 20 acres. And then we had them put together to make one larger farm property. So we've got our K9 escorts today that are going to serve as our bodyguards and walk around with us.
Or chase cars.
So Betsy's gonna keep all of these evil cars from the hard road from getting us. Boone's simply her escort, I guess. And so to the left, this is the pond in the front of the house, and this pond is stocked with catfish, brim, and some a hybrid little minnow that was developed through the University of Florida for mosquito control. So we stocked that first, and they are prolific breeders, so they serve also as a food for the brim and the catfish. So our goal when we purchased this property was to start a small livestock farm, and that ultimately become what we call today the LaLa Farm. So if you look down I'm talking to you. If you look down the southern side of our property line, you'll see a bunch of planted pines. These are slash pines. We planted about 60,000 trees once we moved in, or once we purchased this property. It was a Florida scrub brush that really hadn't been cut or touched for the better part of 25 years. It used to be a palm tree farm 25-30 years ago, is what I'm told, which would explain why there's little palm trees everywhere scattered around the property. So when you see Rick doing that mowing video a few weeks ago, you see him, we kind of don't mow this every time over in here because it's kind of a pain in the butt to mow.
I hate mowing this thing.
But we've spaced the trees out in here enough to where you mow around the trees. It slows you down significantly. It's a lot of left and right hand turns. Somebody that loves driving a zero-turn mower, it's a zero-turn mower driver's dream to cut this. I enjoy it. Ricky don't like it.
What it is at the very end of mowing this, you have to immediately go in and grab some Benadryl because all of the pine needles have like serrated your skin. So that's the big deal. It's not the fact that it's so many turns, it's just imagine getting hit by every single one of those pine needles as you're going through it.
So this, on the back side of the pond, so this would be the eastern side of the property. So the way that we oriented the house was the sun rises behind the house because the back faces east, and we get some stunning sunset photos because the sun sets in the west, in the front side of the house. You know, one thing when we were building our house that we always wanted, LaLa and I always wanted, when we've never had in any house we've ever had, was a large front porch for sitting and watching the sunset, and a large back porch that we could sit on to watch the sunrise. And we have that in this house. When we built this, we kept our main issue was we wanted large outdoor spaces. So the inside of the house is actually smaller than our older house, but we've got a lot of outdoor space now. So when we entertain, we don't entertain in the house because it's really kind of compact in there. We do all of our entertaining outside, family gatherings outside. eating outside. We can host 4-H events here without any problem whatsoever because we've got a very large parking lot. So coming around to the northern side of the house, that way is South Florida, that way is Georgia, about 1.5 miles to the north. So when you're looking at a property from the road, the first thing you see is the house and this coop. This is the coop that we've always referred to as the front coop. And this was the first coop that we built. And right now we have, it's where we've had our Brisset for the last 4 months. We just opened this coop up this week to allow them to begin free ranging like all of our other chickens do. And the chickens from the back coop have decided, hey, there's food up front. So now we get some visitors every day. We started with 7, and you can see when I put them to bed last night, there's about 17 up here. So they're migrating from the back up to the front.
Where's he at? Right there. That's Rodney right there.
So he's our Brisset rooster, king of the front coop. So then in some of our videos you see this odd structure all by itself. It's not odd to me, it's odd to everybody else. Odd, why? Because we don't use it yet. Ultimately, this is going to be loafing area and covered shade for this whole yard right here, which will eventually become a pasture for our steer that we will have butchered. So we'll have 2 steers grazing this pasture, and this will be loading area, this will be feeding area, this will be watering area, and just an area where they can get into the shade.
Would we possibly put the some grass grazing pigs up here or no?
Potentially. But this is what this area will be eventually. Probably won't be this winter, it'll probably be next winter before we get to that. This should be a pretty easy run of fence because it's all straight. There's no trees to cut down. And this is all sandy up here. This is a very loamy soil up here. So this should go really, really quickly.
It'd be nice to put some animals on this patch of grass up here too, because out of honestly all of the grass on the entire property, this by far grows faster than anything else, and it's the most lush, it's the thickest, and it's...
Well, you can't really see, but if you look at the property over there, that's the southern side, and then you just kind of pan over this way slowly. You can see there's a slope. So this down here stays a lot wetter than any other part of the property. Maybe wet isn't the right, it stays more moist. So this grass down here greens up very, very, very quickly and grows very quickly for 8 months out of the year. And this is in that video where Ricky did the time lapse of mowing. This is where we start, because this takes a lot of time to do this back and forth 60 inches at a time. So right behind the original chicken coop, we have this structure. I'm going to be moving this structure. This is our original compost area. So any composting that we do from the chickens, from the goats, food from in the house that we don't use, goes into these composting boxes, and then I come up with a tractor periodically and turn it.
Well, I mean, this was a really, really good idea when we put it here, and the reason why we put it here was because, like Papa had mentioned, you have the original chicken coop, the front coop. You have what was the compost pile, or is a compost pile, and then down here is where we were initially going to do our garden, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, because we were going to have some raised beds and some of the like 50-foot beds and possibly like a high tunnel, but instead we have decided to do something out there, and so that's why Papa's going to end up moving this compost pile.
So the next 2 buildings people ask us about, and they're kind of like the mystery buildings that we've never put on video, you kind of see them in the background, is that building and that building. These are 2 buildings that we built just after we built the house with all scrap materials from the house. So I told the contractor, I need you to order a little bit over, and then we're going to use any leftover materials to build this structure, which is our pump and well house. So we have an artesian well. For those of you who may not know what that is, an artesian well is a well that goes down into the Florida aquifer. Florida as a state floats on a bed of water. So it's limestone, so you've got soil on top. Underneath you have limestone. Under the limestone is water. So it floats on a bed of water. That's why down in Central Florida, the more water they take out of the soil, you get sinkholes. Well, up in this part of the state, that lime rock is very, very thick. We don't have a lot of sinkholes up in this part of the area, but that's what that is. So our pump goes down, or our well goes about 800 foot into the ground. So we're pumping water out directly from the Florida aquifer. This is our dog kennel. So we built the building itself, and then I built areas inside of that so that we can put our dogs when we're gone for overnight trips. We just put our dogs in here, and then we've got 3 gates, 3 kennels in here.
Currently it houses Monster during the day.
And chickens.
And chickens.
So we've got 3 kennels in here, and then we've got a hole through the wall so that each dog has their own run outside. The watering systems are outside. And we've got electrical run to this building as well. Fruit trees, so we've got limes, lemons, oranges, pomegranate, and an apple tree. Our apple tree died, so we had a hard frost early this week, which is why the tops of these are frozen, dead. So we'll trim them back in the spring, and we should start bearing some fruit. We got some lemons on her. This is an orange tree here. There. That's a navel orange. So if you now look up at the house, this is the back of the house. So we come out of the back of the house, and immediately beyond the house is what we call our center path. The center path essentially cuts the farm right in half. On the right side we have our buck pasture. On the left side we have our does. This structure over here,
we're missing one.
Oh, this is our grapes. We're gonna have, these are our bunch grapes. Again, our freeze this year has kind of frozen this. It'll come back next year, and it just started yielding fruit this year, and so we're excited about that.
I'll tell you who else is excited about that is the kids. They absolutely love some grapes.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to just come out here and pick some grapes off right off the vine.
Yep. I'm gonna be limping for a minute. I just fell. Yep, that just happened. Caught it on. Ow.
Are you all right?
I'm good. I'm good. Let's continue. Also, this stuff right here, you don't want to jump through it because you might fall.
Yeah, this is a
good thing I brought my cane with me.
This is a swale that we put in because we had a lot of water being shed from the dirt road on the southern side of the property. So we put this swale in. It runs from one side of the property all the way to the other, and it basically takes all of the water from this side road over here. We went to the low point in that road, put the swale in, so this ditch channels all of the water to another retention pond on the adjacent neighbor's property to get rid of, so all of this water over here does not collect. All right, so moving down the center path, as soon as we go over the swale, this will be our enclosed garden structure. If you look at one of the older videos, I did one of the construction of one of these raised beds, and now you can see all of the raised beds will go down each side. And this is the structure that I've been working on most recently. So it is 3 parts. I'm gonna do a whole video on that when it's done. There's a storage section, there's a working section, and then there's going to be on the far left a greenhouse. So from the top, that's all steel roof, and then you can kind of see where it changes color toward the left side. That's all
right there.
That's all clear polycarbonate roofing, and that will be polycarbonate sides. So moving on, and moving on. So we come to this pasture. This is the buck pen. So we've got our 3 breeding bucks in here, our wether Chewy, and a little buckling that we're going to have processed this upcoming year. And then on the left side, we've got our first of 3 goat pens that total about 5 acres. That span from the front to almost the whole back of the property, back where Rick's house is going. You can hear LaLa in the background. She's over there giving CDT shots today. So this building over here, this metal building, this is the first building that we ever built on the property. Shortly after we purchased it, we had this built, and then we ran electric to this on a separate meter from the house, because this was built a full 2 years before the house was ever built. So all of the work that then got done, basically this was work central. So all the tools were staged here, all of our equipment was here, and so because we're in Florida, I did not want it covered, because most of the time when I'm working right in that area in front of the tractor. Working inside just gets too darn hot. So we got all the tools stored in there, and
we do have a massive fan.
Yeah, but most of the work is done out here. The buck barn is, I think, the title of the video. We finished this in the spring of 2020, and this is basically the home for our 3 breeding bucks. I don't think they've eaten yet, so they're going to get right up. So this is Chewy. Chewy's a wether, and he had an animal showcase done on him. He had an animal showcase done on him. People say, well, why Chewy? If you look at his ears, they're half chewed off. That was from a group of puppies that the original breeder put him in with when he was first born. So they chewed his ears off, and they were going to send him to the meat market. We took him, had him weathered, and he's our companion goat. So whenever we bring new goats home to the farm, they get to spend the first couple of months with Chewy. And then on this side of the buck barn, this is where we've got our boys. So we've got Jarl, the blue one, Einar, the brown and white one behind him, and the one on the right is Heat Seeker. Heat Seeker is our homegrown buck from last kidding season. Looking forward to him growing up. We actually bred him the first time this year and had 100% of his first time does take. Everybody asks frequently about these 2 trucks. Well, those are some nice looking trucks. Well, the first one here, this was my father's truck. I gave to him when I bought it brand new in 1996. I always promised him when I was a young man, I'm going to buy you a brand new truck one day. This was the truck that I gave my father. My father passed away about 5 years ago, and I got the truck back. The one on the right is the same exact truck, same color, same year, same
everything.
Same everything, and I'm going to use that one for a few body parts on this one and some interior parts, and then send it and get the whole thing repainted, engine rebuilt, and I'll have me a brand new 1996 pickup truck. So behind the workshop is the main barn, and this is where the majority of our chickens live. This is where all of our does are. We've got 3 pens. We've got a pen on the right. This one doesn't have anything on it right now. We have a pen on the left. This has got all of the 4-H goats on it. And then the other 5 acres behind that, we're going to walk around that, is where all of our breeding stock is. LaLa's got all them contained right now because she's doing CDT shots today. Well, here's all of our girls getting ready to pop in the next few weeks because they're all pregnant. So this over here is essentially the trailer parking lot. This is where we put all of the trailers when we're not using them. So again, this is all right off of this center path coming straight from the back of the house. So everything is pretty easy to get to and very centrally located. Layout was important to me. I didn't want things scattered all over the place. So if you look straight up here is the house. Straight to the back is another access gate, and back there is where Little Rick's house is going. This is our memory tree. If you saw a couple of videos that we've done, this is where we have our past pets, our past farm animals, ones that were working animals for us. All of them are in here, and they each are marked by their own individual stone.
Well, Monster and Dixie are down there waiting on us. They're like, come look at our property.
So when we come down this middle path, we're almost to the back side of our property. This is the back entrance gate over here. But when we make this left-hand turn, this goes to the eastern side of our doe pen, and on the back side of the eastern side of the doe pen is where Rick's property is. So we deeded him 1 acre on the back side of our property, and then at some point in the future, if our daughter chooses to move onto the farm as well, then she will be able to pick her 1 acre as well. Maybe over there where it's uncleared, we've got a whole nother almost 2 acres of uncleared, untouched on a side hill, all the way up on the front side of the property. It'd be a great home site.
But it's not cleared at all. There's nothing cleared about it.
So this is where Rick's home is going. In this area, he pulled out, he's been working hard, pulled out some fence over there so they can bring some dirt in. So this 4-rail fence is going to have to be disassembled, the home brought in, and then reassembled. So that'll be a chore. So this over here, this is the back side of the doe pen. So this is mostly
another lean-to right there. Not a lean-to, but another pole barn.
That when ultimately we're going to be subdividing this doe pen into multiple smaller paddocks, and that will just be another feeding paddock. Again, when we had the guy build the skeleton for our pole barn, he threw these in. I gave him a little bit extra work. He threw these 2 smaller buildings in for really a song and a dance, so I couldn't turn that down, so I said I'd build these 2 outbuildings as well. It's worked out well. Eventually we will start using them once we get the pasture subdivided into smaller paddocks.
You said a song and a dance. Did you actually dance for him?
I did not song. Well, no.
Did you sing?
I did not sing, nor did I dance. So I'm going to show you something kind of funny. So yesterday, I was back here yesterday. Rick said, did you look at the culvert? So I come back here and I was looking at the culvert on the tractor. Oh.
Right there.
So I'm on the tractor and I'm coming back here, and I have these little logs. So I stop the tractor and I'm getting ready to roll over them, and I hear this. I stopped dead in my tracks and just about pooped myself, thinking that I was like in the midst of a rattlesnake den, because all I heard was this. It was the tractor hitting these little seed pods and making them rattle, and I thought I was like, I just rolled over a rattlesnake den or something.
So this is the culvert that we put in. Right now we got some of these fence posts up, and that's so they can actually back the home into its place. And then this is the culvert that we have in right now. It's still got probably another 1.5 yards left of dirt to bring in to kind of level it with this up here in the road. But that was done yesterday, and Chelsea christened it with her blueberry, so driving over it.
When we come back up to the back side of the doe pen,
where we're met with even more dogs. Still got Booney and Betts. Picked up Monster and Dixie.
Come on, Betts. Goats love pine needles, so the strongest trees in here are surviving. Many of the trees that they have eaten the bark off of, they're ultimately going to die, unfortunately, and you can see kind of their favorite path, because
you can almost see a canopy like 6 foot up.
Yeah, they're worn down. You can see where the as far as they can reach, everything below that's been chewed off. So you can kind of see where the pine tree starts now. This is kind of cool. You only see this in Florida. This hole right here, this is a Florida gopher turtle hole.
Slash rattlesnake.
That gopher turtle is at least as wide as that hole. And they just kind of slide in there. If you look at the video that we did at Crooked River State Park, you'll kind of see that same exact hole, but they're gopher turtles. Also, when a gopher turtle's not in that hole, this is a prime place for rattlesnakes.
Here's a fun fact. If a surveyor comes out and looks at where you want to build your house and finds a gopher turtle, you have to find a different place to put your house.
These are another thing. These mole runs. These are what's called moles. They burrow under the ground. Nasty little critters.
It's like a mix between a rat and a... What else would it be? A gopher, I guess?
Probably.
Rat and a
They've got
gopher?
really long noses, but they look like, I don't know, they look like those things from the 80s that had like this jelly stuff in the middle of them. You could squeeze them, and then when you squeeze them in one place, another, it pops out somewhere else. So this is coming back up to the front side of the doe pen. It comes right back up to the front chicken coop in the house. I hope you enjoyed this walk around tour of the LaLa Farm. Always remember, treat others as you would like to be treated. Be well, my friends.